Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this forum for the Lathrup Village City election. Today is October 8th, 2015. This forum will be featuring the candidates who have filed for the City Council. There are 5 candidates on the ballot for 3 open seats. Vote for 3. The 2 highest vote totals earn a 4-year term, and the 3rd highest vote total gets a 2-year term. The sponsor of this forum is the League of Women Voters, Oakland area. Can you all hear me okay? I am Tara Moon, a member of the League of Women Voters. I am not a resident of this district. The League of Women Voters is a trusted national, nonpartisan political organization whose members do the hands-on work to safeguard democracy. We never endorse a candidate, but we are directly involved in shaping the important issues that keep our community strong. As a League of Women Voters member, I have an opportunity, such as this one, to serve in a leadership role that has great impact on local, state, and even national issues. If you are interested in learning how you can make a similar impact, I encourage you to pick up some of the membership information we have here tonight or visit our website at lwvoa.org. As I said, the League of Women Voters does not endorse a candidate or any political party. The views expressed in this forum are those of the candidates, and the League takes no responsibility for them. The format for this forum has been established by the League of Women Voters. We ask that the audience remain silent during the forum. Please take this moment to turn off any cell phones or other things that might make noises during the forum. We ask that the candidates answer the question with their views only and not interrupt another candidate. The candidates will be answering questions submitted by the audience. If you have a question that comes up during the forum, please raise your hand and Paige Judy Bateman will come over with an index card and a pencil. You can write down your question. It will be screened for duplication and appropriateness by League member John Margari. The format is as follows. All candidates will be given 1 minute for an opening statement in alphabetical order. Closing statements will be 1 minute also in reverse alphabetical order. Candidates will have 1 minute to answer each question unless I decide to extend the time. All candidates will be allowed equal time to answer questions. We have a timer here tonight, League of Women Voters member Neil Zeckman, who's sitting in the front here. So now I'll introduce your candidates to you. The candidates tonight are Bruce Kopis, Ian Ferguson, Michael Garrett, she goes by Kelly, Mike Keenan, and Donna Stallings. Also on the ballot is a proposal for the City of Lathrup Village, and I will read that proposal now. Shall the Charter of the City of Lathrup Village, Michigan be amended by adding a new section 5(1)(a) to be entitled Term Limits and to read, no person shall be eligible for election as a member of the council if that person has served as a member of the council for 2 terms. Serving more than 2 terms than 2 years of a term shall be considered a full term for the purpose of this charter amendment. So we will start with opening statements. You have 1 minute for your opening statements, and we will start with Mr. Bruce Kopis.
Hi, good evening, and thanks for coming and listening. My name is Bruce Kopis. I've been on council for approximately 14 years. My wife Karen and I have lived in Lathrup for about 30, and I've raised my family here, and I'm fortunate enough to have my son Colin and his wife Danielle and Connor and Brandon move into Lathrup. I also am proud to have my father-in-law Larry and stepmother-in-law Carita live in Lathrup. During the time that I've been on council, I've supported our police department and have continually worked with the police chief to improve their productivity and control costs. I have been committed to our residents to provide excellence in services. I have been active in our rec department, both in volunteering at events and working to provide a diverse level of activity. I've been involved in the budgeting process over the years and assisted in creating a fund balance, which we use to write out the property value. That was quick.
Thank you, Mr. Kopis.
Go.
Mr. Ian Ferguson.
Good evening, Lathrup Village residents. My name is Ian Ferguson. I've been here at Lathrup, living here for about 20 years with my wife, Christine. We have a 10-year-old daughter, and I'm a veteran. I spent 6 years in the U.S. Navy on board the USS Josephus Daniels, which is a guided missile cruiser. From that point on, I was discharged and then went to college. I went to a junior college by the name of Morristown Junior College, where I received my associate in science. I then went to Alabama A&M University, majoring in electrical engineer with a minor in mathematics. I then went on to Walsh College in accountancy, where I received my master's in science and management, and I'm currently working for one of the major automotive suppliers. The reason why I'm running, I want to continue to maintain a high level of services. In addition to that, I am against tearing down any historical house in Lathrup Village to turn it into a parking lot. And I've worked diligently over the last several years to make sure that I continue to participate. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ferguson. Kelly Garrett.
Good evening. I'm Michael Garrett. As she said, I go by Kelly Garrett. I've been on City Council for 4 years. This has been my first term. I've lived in the Southfield area for over 40 years, and it was always my goal to move to Lathrup Village as a child, riding my bike from Parks and Rec in Southfield over here. So to move here has been actually a dream come true. I live here with my 15-year-old son, which is a task within itself, but raising him, and I have, I'm part of the Mothering Justice. I am the president of that. It is a family and children advocacy group. So the number one thing that I am focused on is family. And I am also rerunning because I was part of maintaining the village, and now it's time to move the village forward with integrity.
Thank you, Ms. Garrett. Mike Keenan.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mike Keenan. I've been a village resident for 16 years with my wife, Patty. We live over on Saratoga by Santa Barbara. We also have a 9-year-old daughter, Elena. I've lived around multiple communities in the Detroit area. I grew up in Detroit, lived in Bloomfield, Chesterfield, East Side, West Side. Went to school at Eastern Michigan University, got a BBA in Operations Research and Information Systems. Been working in the information technology field in the Detroit area ever since in multiple industries. Last approximately 10 years I've been with General Motors supporting their design and engineering organization. And just the reason I chose to run was, just with some of the events that have occurred in the last couple years of the city, I just thought I would like to voice my opinion a little louder, or a little, and get involved with the city.
Thank you, Mr. Keenan. Donna Stallings.
Good evening. My name is Donna Stallings. I'm a 16-year resident of Lathrup Village. I am also a part of the Stallings clan. We probably have at least 5 homes in the city of Lathrup Village, and maybe 5 more right on the outskirts of the city. And I am a single mom. I have been blessed just to live in a place where it's been safe for my daughter. It's been safe for my mom, who's now 85. And also I am just a product. I'd like to see the changes that need to represent our community, as I've been doing walking and getting to know our neighbors. The homes are just beautiful. There's a great community camaraderie, and I just like to be a part of helping. I bring 25 years of business experience, president of a very dynamic computer technology company. I've received awards nationally from Washington for my business. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. We'll now start the questions. We'll rotate the order of who goes first, and if you need me to repeat a question at any time, please ask. And remember, you're addressing your questions to the audience, not me. Okay, so we're going to start by talking about that proposal that's on the ballot. Candidates, please tell us what is your position on the term limits question on the ballot. We'll start with Mr. Kopis.
Thank you. I guess being involved in the city work for 14 years plus now, and seeing what happened in Lansing with their term limits, I haven't particularly been impressed with the results of that. I think that as a member of council, you do have a learning curve, and it does take time to acclimate yourself to all the different things that are going on, whether it be budget or working with the police department or working with residents. I've served with probably a dozen individuals that have been on and off the council, and turnover seems to be something that routinely happens, as it happens in this case. I see no particular reason that we need term limits here in Lathrup. I would respect the voters and their opinion too.
Thank you, Mr. Kopis. Mr. Ferguson.
Yes, I'm for the term limits, and the reason why is because the head count here in Lathrup Village is roughly about 4,100 residents, and we want everyone to be inclusive. We want everyone to feel that their government is theirs, and we want people to participate. There are a lot more educated people in Lathrup that really need to be a part of council, be a part of the city, be a part of the growth. And I think over the years, they felt like they didn't really feel like they could accomplish that. So this thing on the ballot here, I'm for it, and I think we should move forward in trying to just let everyone be a part of this movement. And at the end of the day, once we grow in the right direction, I feel that everyone will feel that they've owned it. So that's how I feel about that.
Thank you, Mr. Ferguson. Ms. Garrett.
I would say this, after serving my first term on city council, I am not for term limits because one, and I used to be, but after serving and realizing that there is a major learning curve first, and the first term for anyone in an elected office is to learn. And you also need to have veterans that are on that are elected officials that can also teach you. And if we continue having turnover where you're having newcomers coming in, who is going to teach the new people that are coming in? So I think also it does not give a person the ability to learn what it means to compromise with other people that have varying thought processes than your own. I think it also gives someone no time to learn policy making. And I don't think that it gives enough time for people to learn how to build relationships with their community and with their peers on any elected board.
Thank you, Ms. Garrett. Mr. Keenan.
First, I didn't think the term limits are a big issue within the city of Lathrup Village, but in principle, I am for term limits. It's the first time I heard the verbiage of the actual proposal. I would think, well, maybe if if it was the way it was worded with 2 terms, that might be a little short, but I am for term limits in general.
Thank you, Mr. Keenan. Ms. Stallings.
Thank you. I am for term limits. I think I agree with what was stated before, that 2 terms may be a little short. I would like to see, I think that what happens in the political arena is that people who are voted out or their term is over, they disappear. I would like to see maybe a council advisory of those that will no longer serve actually on city council to remain a part of the advisory board. But I think that term limits would be good with the right amount of time. I think that it should be three terms that we serve.
Thank you, Ms. Stallings. The next question will start with Mr. Ferguson. There are 3 priorities listed on this card, and this person wants to know what your priorities are out of these. List them in order of preference. Focus on resident citizens' needs, the commercial district, or a city center. Out of those 3 things, list them in your order of preference.
Preference. Order of preference. If my residents are voting me in, then they would be #1 priority because they want me here to represent them, and whatever they want, I'm for that. In the end, there's going to be a great deal of compromise. It's up to me to communicate that information. And as we move forward, I would then communicate that. Second is the commercial district. I want to make sure that our commercial district doesn't get too large that it overcompasses our residents and our dwelling within the residence. I want to make sure that we are attracting the right type of commercial, right type of businesses, not just this knee-jerk where we just let anyone come in. And thirdly, if you can give me the third one really
City
quick.
center.
City center. It has to be the right size for 4,100 residents. It can't be very large, and it certainly can't be very small. Definitely larger than this, but not too large. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ferguson. Ms. Garrett?
Yeah, okay, I have it written down. One, I have to agree with Mr. Ferguson on the focus on being on the residents first, because one, you're elected by the people, for the people. So I believe that that should be the first goal to do as the people want you to do. Number two, it would be the commercial district, and that would be just attracting new businesses and having something to offer to the new businesses. And no, we don't want to have it where it's big box stores coming in. No, we don't want to have it where it's going to attract the wrong patrons to come. But I think that we first need to focus on how are we going to attract any business to come to our city. And I think that that's something that we really need to focus on. And then the last one would be the city center. When I think about our city center, I'm thinking that we are focused on the whole circle, where I personally think that it should be on one side, work one side and then work the other side. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Garrett. Mr. Keenan?
I suppose I'd be a fool to say not to focus on the residents, but but that, I mean, we are servants of the community when you are an elected official, so that would be the number one focus in working with them and their concerns. I'll divulge a little bit. I think the city center and the commercial district are both kind of equally important, but I think we could accomplish more quickly with improvements to the city center. I think we've done some over the last several years, but I think we could use a little bit more just to make it a space for everyone, for the family and the residents. And then commercial district, it'd be nice to see some refreshing to the Southfield corridor, which is, I guess, our main commercial district. There are a lot of tired old buildings, but that's it's going to be a tough road to hoe on that one. But I think we should address that as too.
Thank you, Mr. Keenan. Ms. Stallings?
Well, again, thank you. I believe that, first of all, the citizens are important. Walking and shaking hands and getting to know the citizens, I'm finding that just the intimate things like code enforcement, vehicles being parked, trees being too low. So just finding and being a voice for the community, no matter how small it seems, because it is the little foxes that can spoil the vine. I strongly believe in business. Coming from a business background, like I said, for the last 25 years, I think that driving the economy and businesses would be a very good thing to do here. When I moved here 16 years ago, I didn't have to travel to go and get lighting. I could just run into, there was a beautiful lighting company just a block or so away, and I'm thinking that just attracting just the right kind of businesses that match the beauty of our neighborhood and the heart of our neighborhood is good, would be good. I'm sure my minute is up.
Thank you, Ms. Stallings. Mr. Kopis?
Well, the residents have always been my focus from the time I got elected and throughout. I've always listened to what they have to say, and it's just what I'm here for. As far as the other two, they're equally important. The center city is a concept that we're trying to develop with our master plan. The commercial district goes hand in hand with it. We're getting some development, but it's a difficult thing to do, and the center city is certainly a project that has been ongoing and will be ongoing, and hopefully we'll eventually get something happening on it. Right, Keith?
Thank you, Mr. Kopis. For the next question, I'm going to combine two questions. I think that they are related. One person wants to know what you think of the Enliven proposal and if you participated in any of the public input sessions. And somebody else asked where you stand on the Michigan First project. I'm assuming that both of those things are development related, but maybe.
They're pretty different.
Oh, then I'll separate them then.
Yeah.
Or I can separate them. We can do a minute each. So, okay, let's start with the Enliven proposal. What do you think of the Enliven proposal? Did you participate in any of the public input sessions? And we start with Ms. Garrett.
Well, I did participate with that. I'm trying to think of when the last time I came to one. Well, and then I'm also already on council, so yes, I did participate in the Enliven process. I came in and then came out. I cannot remember exactly when I came, and I can't remember what I saw. I've seen a lot of things right now, or I've seen a lot of things, so that's all I can answer.
All right, thank you, Ms. Garrett. Mr. Keenan?
Yeah, honestly, I'm trying to recall what the Enliven project is. Is it related to the plans that were developed for the city center?
I am not sure.
So,
I don't know, the person-
So obviously, I haven't spent a lot of time with it. So.
Well, I think it's,
Okay.
No,
they're referring
can't
to the
comment on that.
DDA.
The person thought that everyone would know what it was, so. All right, Mr. Keenan, you're set?
I am set. I
Okay,
can't comment
Ms.
any further
Stallings.
on something I don't know.
Well, I'm with Mr. Keenan. I have no idea what the project is,
Okay.
so I really can't comment on it.
Okay.
Don't know.
Mr. Kopis?
Yes, I have been involved in the Alive and Lathrup program. I'm sitting on the steering committee. It's a program that we developed with the MML and the Michigan State Education, the students there. What we're doing is we're trying to rethink the public space that we have here and trying to jumpstart maybe the Center City program. We can't make developers do redevelopment. We can't make people sell properties to developers, but we can when we do have control over the property here. So what the MML and the students were doing is putting together, with the help of the residents that showed up, ideas of how to recreate this space here at City Hall, behind here at City Hall with our parkland, and with the Annie Lathrup Park that runs behind the school. It's a really fun project, and the people that did come to view the poster boards had a lot of input.
Thank you, Mr. Kopis. Mr. Ferguson?
That was a trick question because nobody knows what the Enliven program is, but I have to throw these representatives a lifeline. Kelly was a part of it. Yes, she was there. So was Mike Keenan, actively participating and giving input. So don't feel bad. We're all a part of it. It's just we don't know it as the Enliven program. And yes, we did give input, and personally, I feel that the scope of it that was presented to us after inputting from residents was really too big. I really believe that the city center, the way it is, the way it was presented, is far too big for Lathrup Village. I think they needed to scale it down a bit and just not make all the green space disappear. I mean, we're known for our green spaces behind this building, and for us to lose any of that, it'll be a travesty. And plus, we have a lot of kids here. A lot of kids participate in the children's garden. They're learning about nature. They're learning about science, all in one summer span. And for us to lose that, I'm not really for that size. We could downsize it a bit and then move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ferguson. The next question, we'll start with Mr. Keenan. Where do you stand on the Michigan First project?
I just starting to come up to speed on that project. From what I know, I'm in principle against it because it's encroaching commercial district into our residential neighborhood. Two of those houses, which are owned by Michigan First now, are part of the historic district of Lathrup Village. So I would hate to see that those houses disappear. But in general, I'm not for it. I think it would have been nice to know of the activity before it got to the point it did. And kudos to Michigan First. I think they came up with a very good plan, but not at the sacrifice of our residents.
Thank you, Mr. Keenan. Ms. Stallings?
Well, I appreciated the Michigan First plan. I don't appreciate removing historical homes, but I think that in light of what we need as far as a tax base, I think that the way that it was presented, it was very attractive in the way that it looked, and it also offered 450 employees, opportunities to work here. As far as, I'm hoping that there's a compromise. Not sure if there is. I'm not that close enough politically to know if there's a compromise that with the 2 historical homes that are in question. But other than that, I believe that it would be a great undertaking for our city.
Thank you, Ms. Stallings. Mr. Kopis.
Hi, thank you. Well, I'm in favor of the Michigan First expansion. They've been a great community sponsor. They've contributed money for Arts in the Park and other events. They have a community room that is basically open and accessible to anybody who wants to come in and meet. In fact, we probably have all been there at one time or another. Yes, it is sad that we will lose 3 houses, but they will bring in more employees. It's going to be a big boost to our neighborhoods. These people that are coming in have to go somewhere, and hopefully they'll move to Lathrup. So the jobs, the opportunity to bring people in, it'll help our property values. And it's a nice development, and they could go anywhere, and they've chosen to stay in Lathrup, and I'm proud of that.
Thank you, Mr. Kopis. Mr. Ferguson.
I'm not for this expansion. This is a corporate takeover. I don't care how you look at it. You cannot tear down 3 houses just to expand a parking lot into the commercial district, which is R1. Secondly, crime will go up based on the location of the parking lot. It's sitting way back into the residential area, and a junior female banker walking to her car at night is susceptible to crime, plain and simple. The second issue is too large a expansion for the space they're trying to fit it in. And I guarantee you that they'll go for phase 2 because there are 6 more houses in play. So if we open this door, I guarantee we're going to lose at least 150 houses, because every house along the Southfield corridor, as well as over in GO, is going to be affected, and it's going to be up for debate, because I will not tear down any houses to make parking lots, period.
Thank you, Mr. Ferguson. Ms. Garrett.
This is the most difficult question to answer, because this is something, truthfully, that keeps me up at night, because this is something that I'm truly struggling with. I have pros and I have cons for it. Number one, I do believe that I'm elected by the people for the people, so I have to listen to what you're saying. But I also need to protect my city in the fact that if we say no, then what happens if they decide to leave? Then we have an empty building, and we have to figure out how we're going to have new business come in there. So I don't like the idea of historical houses being torn down. I hate the idea of upsetting residents, but I also hate the idea of losing business revenue. So at this time, I really cannot answer that question honestly, and I just cannot take a stand on it.
Thank you, Ms. Garrett. The next question will start with Ms. Stallings. Public school systems play a role in determining property values. Based on the current status of Southfield Public Schools, what do you see as your role and the board's role in improving the district?
Well, from what I understand, with the merger, first of all, is supposed to bring in save revenues of $8.5 million. I think that our role is to monitor, to oversee, and to make sure that the foundation and why the school is existing is fair for all. For instance, Lathrup Village is supposed to be for the gifted, and we want to make sure that all of the gifted, no matter who they are, is considered in that equation. But I think it's a matter of, and it looks like it's a bad thing, but I think that we can take what's happening, create a great school. If it's a school for the gifted, I believe most of our children are gifted. Let's work at making what looks bad become a great thing. I mean, this could be a new beginning for us. So I think monitoring the finances and monitoring the administration is our job.
Thank you, Ms. Stallings. Mr. Kopis.
What was the question?
Public school systems play a role in determining property values. Based on the current status of Southfield Public Schools, what do you see as your role and the board's role in improving the district?
Well, we're not a board, but I think they're referring to City Council. City Council and the Southfield School Board are 2 separate entities. We have no control over them, and they have no control over us. What we do try to do as a city council and have done over the years is meet with the Southfield School Board and talk and see where they're at, and then they see where we're at. And I know some of our members of city council, I think Kelly and Frank and Alan, all sit on subcommittees over at the Southfield Public Schools, and that way we keep ourselves informed of what's going on. Yes, schools are very, very important to property values. And fortunately, we have a very strong school system here. And we're all very proud of the Southfield school system. So as far as monitoring, we don't monitor, we don't control, but we do stay active with them.
Thank you, Mr. Kopis. Mr. Ferguson.
Right now, there's a disconnect between Lathrup villagers and the residents of Southfield. I think we've already spoken with our feet. We voted with our feet. The vast majority of parents that live in Lathrup, they're sending their kids to other schools, whether it's Berkeley or whether it's Roper or whether it's Birmingham, because they feel that there's a disconnect between Southfield and Lathrup Village. How do we close that gap? Well, I mean, city council, even though city council, we have members that sit on the board, we need to try to close the gap, because in the end, people are feeling like they're not even connected to Southfield. We just live within it. And almost all the students I run across, they're going to Berkeley schools. They feel that, you know, it represents what society looks like, which is a diverse background, which is, you know, all-inclusive, which is, you know, music centers, music classes that they can excel in. With Southfield, I'm not quite sure, because I've looked at it and, you know, I'm frustrated. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ferguson. Ms. Garrett.
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. Public school systems play a role in determining property values. Based on the current status of Southfield Public Schools, what do you see as your role and the board's role in improving the district?
Well, my role for improving the district is what I'm doing, and that is being involved with Southfield Public Schools. I do sit on the Southfield Lathrup Optimist Board, which is helps Southfield Public Schools and getting to know what is going on in Southfield Public Schools. I've also partnered with Southfield to have their Student of the Month, or have a student representative come here at our council meetings and let us know what's going on in Southfield. Southfield Public Schools has some very good programs that's just not talked about amongst our residents. There is a disconnect between Southfield Public Schools and the city of Lathrup Village. How do we bridge that gap? It's just by getting involved with it. That's the main way that you can understand what's going on between Lathrup and Southfield Public Schools. You're absolutely right. There are a lot of our students that do not go to Southfield Public Schools, but I cannot say that that is just on Southfield School Board's fault or on the City Council's fault.
Thank you, Ms. Garrett. Mr. Keenan.
I think it's very important to have you know, a good public school system and private schools to you know, maintain or increase your property values. I am one of those people. My daughter goes to Berkeley School District. Me and my wife did extensive research into schools, including Southfield at the time, you know, some 9 years ago or approximately then. And it just wasn't necessarily just the school board. It was just the, you know, the public ratings of the system was not as good, and our taxes are not, you know, our millage rate to the quality of the education is totally out of sync. So I don't know if it would be ever possible, but I would love to explore the ability to, you know, look at being associated with another school district. I'm probably pipe dreaming there because we're, you know, a city enclosed in Southfield. So, but that was, thanks for the education, Bruce and Kelly. I didn't know that we actually had active, you know, conversations and meetings with the city of Southfield. That is important too.
Thank you, Mr. Keenan. The next question will start with Mr. Kopis. Give one or two specific examples of how the city can improve communications with residents.
Well, excuse me, City Council the other day just, we partnered up with a new concern that's going to redevelop our website. I think it's about 6 or 7 years old and it's run its course. This new website that will be developed will be developed with citizens' input. They're going to hold some meetings and try to develop the website so that it's very user-friendly. It's a terrific company. They're out of Troy, and we're always looking ways to improve the ways that we communicate with our residents, either through the website, through our town magazine, through alerts that people can sign up through on our websites. But the new website's going to be, it's going to be very interactive, very easy to use, and we're very excited about that.
Thank you, Mr. Kopis. Mr. Ferguson.
Yeah, a couple of things. City government needs to partner more with the core organizations within Lathrup, such as the Time Bank, such as the Children's Garden, and I'm sure they're doing some work with the Homeowners Association. But all too often, those groups are not really, embraced to try to be welcomed within the government of Lathrup Village. I think if I am elected, I'm going to reach out to all three of those groups and talk to them and try to encompass their ideas and their beliefs so that we can grow together. Second, the Lathrup Village website is very confusing. We have villagers here that don't even have an email or a computer, and we don't have a connection with them. We don't even have a mailing service, and I think we need that, especially for our seniors. Seniors, they're the most important part of voting and activities. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ferguson. Ms. Garrett.
Communication can be twofold. I don't know if the question means the response of, if you're reaching out to someone in our administrative office or reaching out to one of the city council members. If you're talking about that, then I would say for myself personally that I do get back with people within 24 hours, if just to acknowledge the fact that you sent me an email, because that's just the proper thing to do. And it is also with our administrative office, that's the same basic expectations of the city manager and everyone else that contacts the offices. And truthfully, if you ever have an issue with that, then you should feel free to contact one of the city council members to address that. Now, as far as talking to the citizens of Lathrup, I think that the website is going to be fabulous. And I think that that's great for everyone. And again, I agree with Ian, not everybody has a computer and not everybody goes to the website. Old-fashioned door-to-door to make people aware of what's going on in our city, since there's only 2,400 houses, is something possible we could do.
Thank you, Ms. Garrett. Mr. Keenan.
Yeah, I've been a anti-website of our fair city for quite some time. I've heard for a few years now it was going to be fixed, but I'm glad to hear that we're actually doing something. As an example, just for tonight, if I wasn't a candidate on the forum, I get a message, an automated message to my email that says, "Hey, candidate forum tonight." So it gave me 6 hours notice. And it starts reading there, and it says read more. And I have to click there, and then it goes to the website. And then I download a PDF, and it's just like it's horrible. No one's going to use it. But that's good that we're doing something. I'd love to provide input into the new website. I also think we should leverage more social tools that we have. We have a city Facebook page that every once in a while you get a post about the farmers market, but there's so much more, whether it's the zoning issues that have come up. Well, why don't we just leverage that? Because that's another free, effective way to get messages to the residents.
Thank you, Mr. Keenan. Ms. Stallings.
I think that the communication, could you repeat the question?
Sure.
First, yeah.
Give one or two specific examples of how the city can improve communications with residents.
Well, I mentioned before that one of the suggestions that I hear knocking on doors is, like Kelly said, just good old-fashioned going to the doors and saying hello, how are you? The citizens have a lot to say. There was also a recommendation that we have some level of a communication where it's anonymous, where, and I don't know if that's something that we can add on to our website development, where if a resident had a complaint, they wouldn't have to be, their name wouldn't have to be in the open. But I am a technology person. I do believe that technology is the key. But we also have to understand that our citizens, we have middle-aged and up citizens, very smart individuals. So we have to be very, very cognizant that when we implement the technology, that we have courses right here for seniors, and that we knock on doors and really make sure that they understand what's available. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Stallings. The next question will start with Mr. Ferguson. How do you view our police department? Would you support utilizing the Oakland County sheriff's services?
I view our police department as top-notch, number one. I have not had any issues with the police department in Lathrup Village. They actually know me by name. They stop in front of my house. And it's kind of interesting when the neighbors look out, oh yeah, it's stopping in front of Ian's house, it's okay. And they stay there and they ask me what's going on, how's everything going, is the speed too fast for these guys? And I just simply just tell them. But they're always there for our family, they're always there for everyone. I mean, yes, if we want to utilize Oakland County because we have a problem, I don't have a problem with that, but we have a top-notch police force. And they're respectful, and they see everyone as Lathrup villagers, as citizens contributing to one cause to move this city forward, plain and simple. I have not had a single problem with the police force.
Thank you, Mr. Ferguson. Ms. Garrett?
Can you just repeat the beginning of the question?
Yeah, of course. How do you view our police department? Would you support utilizing the Oakland County Sheriff's Department?
I view the police department as one of the best police departments in southeastern Michigan, and that's only, I'm saying southeastern only because that's only where I know, okay? So I think that it's a fantastic group of people that are focused on protecting the citizens of Lathrup and protecting Lathrup. I see absolutely no reason to use Oakland County Sheriff's deputies because we don't have need for it from what I'm seeing right now. So I think that they're top-notch, and no, I don't think that we need to use the Sheriff's Department.
Thank you, Ms. Garrett. Mr. Keenan?
Again, I'll pile on the praises for our police department. I think they're great. I think they've done a great job of keeping our streets safe and my family safe. They're approachable. They're always at community events, and you can talk to them and know a few of them by name. It's great. And so I don't support, obviously, looking at other communities such as, or other sheriff's departments such as Oakland County. I think it's important for our city that, the police, it really gives our city an identity. When you see, either identity both to us as citizens and the people that are visiting our city, is just to actually see that, squad car or SUV that says Lathrup Village Police Department. So I was against it when I think there was a proposal a while ago, about 5 years ago, and I was vehemently against it then. I'm still against it now if we decide to do that.
Thank you, Mr. Keenan. Ms. Stallings?
Well, I absolutely appreciate our police department. I think that their presence is very dynamic. They're very professional. I personally they'll come through the neighborhood. They take the neighborhood very seriously. I think that bringing in another entity would take away our village, our village closeness, where we trust our police officers. As was said before, they know our names. I was stuck in the snow. I didn't even have to call anyone because the police were just circling the block and pushed me out 5 minutes, made it to my office, etc. So I really do appreciate our police department. I appreciate their professionalism. I appreciate the way that they keep you up to date. They'll drive through the neighborhood and say, hey, you didn't close your garage last night or something like that. And you can't get that if you get the sheriffs and get that involved. So I love our police department. Don't touch it.
Thank you, Ms. Stallings. Mr. Kopis?
Thank you. I've been a supporter of the police department ever since I've come here into Lathrup, and certainly since I've been on council. We had the opportunity to promote within several years back one of our own, and now we have Chief Armstrong running the show. One of his tasks was to increase, one of the tasks that was, because we heard it from the residents, was they wanted more patrol. They wanted more officers on the street. So Chief Armstrong has taken that task at hand, and not only has he put 2 officers on the street on any given time, he's also now has a command officer on duty 24/7. And they're well-trained, they're a well-managed department, and I've supported them in the past, and I will continue to support them in the future in their endeavors.
Thank you, Mr. Kopis. The next question will start with Ms. Garrett. What do you see as the single biggest issue facing Lathrup Village?
For me right now, I still see that as economic development. I see that we have a lot of empty buildings, and I also see that we have buildings that are not aesthetically pleasing for new businesses to come to Lathrup. The one thing that I'm doing, I work with our city manager and I work with, or used to work with our economic development director to actually go out and solicit small businesses to move to Lathrup. Because I think the key thing that we need for Lathrup Village is more of the village kind of feel businesses. And so while I'm out, that's what I do to see if people want to relocate. You know, I know that's probably not popular, taking from one city to come to another, but nonetheless, my priority is Lathrup. But I believe that that's pretty much the biggest priority that I can think of right now is for the economic development.
Thank you, Ms. Garrett. Mr. Keenan.
Improving the schools, I know it was a topic earlier, but I think that's pretty critical to maintaining and increasing property values, which I think we all want. And in my time, about I think it was like 3 or 4 years ago, there was 3 families with young children that just moved out because they knew weren't confident they could get in schools of choice to Berkeley or Royal Oak. And I just think that's just it's a disservice to them. It's a disservice to us because we lost 3 great families. So whether it's improving our relationship with Southfield or other solutions, I still think that's top priority.
Thank you, Mr. Keenan. Ms. Stallings.
I have 2 priorities. I believe that economic development is definitely one. Attracting businesses to want to come here and be a part of our corridor. But I agree too that Lathrup Village only has 16, I believe it's 16.6% children at a school age. That could be a real issue when you talk about succession planning. So I think that in the scope of things, we have to think about succession planning when we talk about economic development. How do we get families to move back into the city? So again, we have to deal with the school issues. But how do we get children back into this area so that 10, 20 years from now, we're viable city?
Thank you, Ms. Stallings. Mr. Kopis.
Well, my focus has always been on the residents, property values. We've got to continually to improve our neighborhoods and improve our property values. That affects every single person in Lathrup Village. Economic development along Southfield Road is wonderful, but it's not something that we have a lot of control over. But what we can control is providing a sound budget, sound fiscal, or be responsible, provide excellent services, whether it be with the police force or a DPS, and code enforcement. Strong neighborhoods mean strong property values, and that's always got to be our focus.
Thank you, Mr. Kopis. Mr. Ferguson.
Yeah, I think we really need to sit down and look at apples to apples when it comes to Southfield schools and how Lathrup is going to fit into that. We really need to compare it with Berkeley schools, compare it with Birmingham schools, look at Southfield schools. Are they comparable? If they are, then we as council members drive home to our residents that they are equal. They are equal to everything else, and you can send your child there. So there's a disconnect. The taxes that we pay versus us going to Southfield schools, it's just not balancing out. The second part of my answer is commercial development. We have to right-size our commercial development. We have to make sure that it fits Lathrup Village, plain and simple. It cannot be large commercial buildings because it drives down property value, plain and simple. When you destroy houses, the other house that's next to that development loses value. It's just that simple. So we need to work on those 2.
Thank you, Mr. Ferguson. I'm going to ask 2 more questions. And the first question, we'll start with Mr. Keenan. What, if anything, would you do differently with the city budget? Mr. Keenan.
I don't know if I'm qualified to answer that because I don't really know what the city budget is and where what percentage goes to what. So that would probably be one of those learning curves that I would need to address if I was elected. So.
Thank you, Mr. Keenan. Ms. Stallings.
I would, in looking at the city budget, I would deal with connecting more with the federal and state funding. I noticed in the budget that line item is 0. I believe that there are funds that we can look into acquiring for our city and getting in housing, whether it's to help with our economic development, our businesses. But we need some more federal and state influx in our budget.
Thank you, Ms. Stallings. Mr. Kopis.
We operate on a 5-year budget, and we have been doing this for quite a long time. A 5-year budget allows us to plan ahead. And with this planning, we were able to create a fund balance, and with that fund balance, we were able to ride through the time where our property values fell over 40% over a 5-year period, and state revenue sharing fell as well. You know, as even people that run households, you lose 40% of your income through something that you have no control over, as well as losing funding from the state. We had to tighten down, we had to do things that we didn't necessarily want to do, but we were prepared. And I think we run I know we run a very tight ship, and I'm very proud of our council members that I've served with, and I wouldn't change anything.
Thank you, Mr. Kopis. Mr. Ferguson.
I don't know what the city budget is, but I can say for certain I don't want the city funding the downtown development, because it's going to be half of the fund balance. Until I get into council, I'm not going to know exactly what that is. So I'm just going to have to use discretion at this point. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ferguson. Ms. Garrett.
I think as a council we did very well, and I should not say as a council. Our treasurer and our city manager did very well with our budget. We got through some tough times where other cities weren't as successful as Lathrup Village has been. Again, I think it's a great idea to get more funding from the federal and state government, and if we could find more funding, then definitely we should go after it. But you know, with the government, especially the state, taking away revenue from us, I think that we've done very well. And so I have to concur with Mr. Kopis that I wouldn't change what we've done with the budget.
Thank you, Ms. Garrett. This will be the last question, and the answers will start with Ms. Stallings. Address somebody who is new to Lathrup Village and tell that person why they should vote for you.
Okay. Hello, welcome to Lathrup Village. You've actually moved into the best village in the state of Michigan. I am running for city council. I would be happy to first of all, know what your thoughts are, what you would like to see happen in our city. But I come with a well of experience. I come with experience in building businesses, as well as experience in working with youth and working with seniors in the community. I believe in a strong community presence, and I want to see Lathrup Village become a pillar within the state of Michigan. And so I would be so happy and so elated if you would allow me to be your city council person this term.
Thank you, Ms. Stallings. Mr. Kopis.
Well, I would tell you that you've made the right decision coming to Lathrup. I've raised a family here. I'm currently an empty nester, but fortunately I've got some grandchildren close by because they wanted to move back. They loved Lathrup and they loved the experience, and they live here now. And of course I have some senior members from my family living in town, and that's always, it's a great place to live. We've been involved as a family with so many of the activities, whether it be the community foundation, the homeowners, golf outings, volunteering at recreation events, art in the park, fall festivals, the concerts. It's just a delightful place to raise a family, and as far as being a pillar, we're already recognized in the state as a pillar. We won a community event at the MML not too long ago. We were we were featured at the MML convention, as well as the Planning Commission for what we've done. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kopis. Mr. Ferguson.
They get 20 more seconds after Okay. Hello, I'm Ian Ferguson. I'm your neighbor. I'm actually a member of the Time Bank. I'm also a volunteer at the Children's Garden. And I've also volunteered for city events such as Music in the Park, such as our Fall Festival. I hear you just moved in. You have kids? This will be perfect for them with the children's garden. They teach kids about everything. And by the way, this city, they have so many people that are of service. They volunteer constantly. They know each other by name. You could go down 10 houses in a row and you actually know who lives in those houses. They'll come out and wave at you. When they drive by, they'll wave at you. They'll even stop their car and talk to you for 10 minutes. By the way, I'm running for city council. I forgot to tell you that. I'm not a politician, I'm your neighbor. And I want to work for you, plain and simple. So, here's my house. I'm not going to give you the keys, but please come around the corner, around the backyard, check out my tomato garden. You can actually have some for free, no problem. And I grow garlic as well. And I'm a musician. So, if you play guitar, that's cool.
Thank you, Mr. Ferguson. Ms. Garrett.
One, I would tell the person that this was the best choice, and it's one of the choices that I have made, or I made when I was in elementary school to move to Lathrup Village. So this is a dream come true for me. I think that it is a wonderful family community where my son is able to ride his bike and go around to whomever's house, and I do not worry about him. The reason why I am running for re-election is because I am someone that you can reach out and touch. I am always available. You can always call me and I will always respond to you in a timely manner. And I'm asking for your vote because I don't only represent you at the local level, I represent you at the county level and I represent you at the state level. I do whatever I have to do to make sure that Lathrup Village is represented well. And again, I'm a woman of my word and I'm a woman of integrity and I have a good reputation in Lathrup. And I would ask for your re-election to be on a volunteer board as the city council.
Thank you, Ms. Garrett. Mr. Keenan.
I would congratulate them on a great choice of a place to move. The number one reason for that is our residents. I can give a couple of examples. When we moved in some 16 years ago, didn't know anybody there, and when I'm sitting there painting my dining room at 9:30 in the morning, or 9:30 at night, and I get a knock on the door, and it's the lady that lives around the block from us with a homemade strudel, welcoming us to the neighborhood and telling us about Lathrup Village and all that sort of stuff. So that's the kind of things you can expect. I think our city, puts on some great programs and encourage them to participate in that. And also, there's a number of good community organizations, which I think is unique to Lathrup, especially the size of our city. Encourage them to participate in that. And the reason that they would want to elect me is just to hopefully maintain and hopefully improve upon those organizations and services that we have to offer.
Thank you. That concludes the question portion of this forum. Now the candidates will have a chance to give a closing statement, and we'll start with Ms. Stallings. 1 minute, yes.
I'm sorry?
1 minute.
1 minute.
1 minute?
1 minute, yes.
Well, again, thank you for this opportunity to just sit and introduce myself and what I feel we can bring to Lathrup Village. I just want to reiterate that I understand job creation, I understand youth involvement as a camp director for 23 years over youth programming. I understand what it takes to work as a team. I want to work as a team with whomever. If I'm not elected, I'm hoping that I am. I'll still be around. I absolutely love our city. As I said before, I'm vested, we're vested. We have 5 homes in the city of Lathrup Village where I have my mother still here at 85 and I'm not going anywhere. So I just feel like that I believe that I'm a candidate for the citizens and I will do whatever it takes to help maintain and elevate the city of Lathrup Village.
Thank you, Ms. Stallings. Mr. Keenan.
I'd also like to thank everybody for coming in and participating and listening and giving me the opportunity to let you know a little bit more about myself. As you can tell from some of my answers, I may not be the expert in being able to manage a government, but I'm willing to learn and I'm willing to listen. I'm hoping that, and I'm thinking that my experiences in business and leading large teams and projects will assist me in being successful in representing you. And I guess that's it. Have a great night.
Thank you, Mr. Keenan. Ms. Garrett.
Well, one, I thank everyone for coming out this evening, and I appreciate everyone who has voted for me for the first term, and I ask for your vote for another term. It has been my honor to serve you, and it has been my pleasure to serve you. This is something that I really enjoy doing, and it's something that I take great pride in representing every single person that lives in Lathrup Village. It is, I guess I'm asking you again to vote for me and for another term, and this is just, it's surreal actually to me to be on this board, because again, this is something that I looked at Lathrup. Actually, I only moved across the football field to move into Lathrup, just to be able to be here and to represent the good people of Lathrup, and I would like to be able to serve you once again.
Thank you, Ms. Garrett. Mr. Ferguson.
Thank you for the opportunity. I'm your neighbor, plain and simple. I'm a veteran. I've been in the U.S. Navy for 6 years. I'm highly disciplined. I have worked my way through school, running my own business. I transitioned from that, went into corporate America, led teams on an engineering exhibition with General Motors as well as the Robert Bosch Corporation in Farmington Hills, Michigan. I still continue to do that. I volunteer religiously, and I'm a mentor. I've mentored children, I've mentored teenagers, and I still continue to do that. I run a mentor program at my company right now, and I'm just asking for your vote because I want to continue to do that here at Lathrup. And if I don't get elected, I'm going to continue to do it in my neighborhood. Plain and simple. People know who I am, and people know who I represent. And every single time, integrity comes up, and I appreciate when they say that. So that's what I'm about, integrity, and I'm about getting the job done, plain and simple. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ferguson. Mr. Kopis.
Hi, thanks for all coming out tonight. And I want to congratulate the 4 people sitting down from me. It's very cool to have people so interested and so vitalized in Lathrup, and I wish you all well. I've been committed to Lathrup for a long time. I've worked hard on City Council and the other boards that I've served on. You know, I couldn't even say them all in the opening, so I'm not even going to try to say it in the closing. If you choose to continue to have my presence, that'd be great, and I ask for your vote. But it's been a privilege. It's been an absolute honor to represent the city of Lathrup, not only here, but wherever I go. I'm a huge supporter, and I wish to continue. I'd like to continue my effort serving the residents of Lathrup. But one way or another, it's been real. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kopis, and thank you to all the candidates for participating in tonight's forum. That concludes the forum. I'd like to also thank the audience for your questions and CNN TV for taping the forum tonight. When we know rebroadcast times, we post them on our website, and I'm sure CNN TV will have it on their website too. Also, thank you to the City of Lathrup Village for hosting the forum tonight. For further nonpartisan information on these candidates and other issues, you can look at the League's website. It's lwvoa.org and click on Voter Guides. You'll find a printable voter guide with responses from these candidates. The League is funded by contributions from concerned businesses and citizens like you. Our membership is open to women and men over the age of 18. Remember to vote on November 3rd. Democracy is not a spectator sport. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.